Hello, Amanda. We're standing on one of the many islands in the River Ness, the source of which is the Loch Ness, home to Nessie. We're going monster hunting. Okay, we're not really gonna go monster hunting, but it is almost Halloween, and Lex and I are in Inverness right now. And because of the date, we're gonna go check out a lot of really spooky stuff. We're gonna go to Culloden Battlefield, then we're gonna go to a bunch of abandoned churches and ruins, and we're gonna see the graves of a bunch of people, and it's gonna be spooky. Then it's gonna be pretty, because then we're gonna go to Loch Ness, and then we're gonna go to Glencoe. And we have a lot of crap to do, and my videos are long, so we're gonna get started now. Alright, so Amanda, to begin, we're on the Ness Islands, which are a series of natural islands that occur within the River Ness itself. And we decided to come at the perfect time of year because these fall colors are amazing. It was originally only accessible by boat until they finally built a bridge in the early 1800s, but then that got destroyed by a flood, so they had to put in a new bridge. And when they did that, they decided to make it into a little nature conservatory, so they imported a bunch of different, non-native species of trees. And because of that, a lot of interesting wildlife decided to move in, like bats. Boom, Halloween connection. This is one of the only places in the United Kingdom that's home to natural bats. Alright, so that was gorgeous and all, but there's one thing that was interesting. There are these trees that look like aspens, and I'm not exactly sure what they are.
And I don't either.
And it's weird, because I thought aspens were supposed to only exist at 8,000 feet or something, and maybe it has to do with the latitude, and I don't know, but Google it for me. Let me know. Thanks. Alright, Amanda, we're at our next stop. We're standing on the Colada Moor, and this was the site of the Battle of Culloden.
Somber.
Which was basically the end of Bonnie Prince Charlie's campaign to try to reclaim the throne. This is all part of the Jacobite Rebellion, something you may have heard of, and I'm not going to go into the history of it because it's ridiculously long and I don't have that much time. But basically, he was heavily supported by the Scottish because they thought that if he was actually returned to the throne, then maybe there would be a Scottish parliament. That wasn't going to happen because, he wanted to be king. Anyway, at the very end of his campaign, he was retreating back to Inverness, and he wanted to go attack his enemies in the middle of the night. So he forced his army to march all night, and then he came back to here because it failed because it was raining.
Meanwhile, the government side was celebrating the Duke of Cumberland's 25th birthday, so they all got extra rations of cheese and spirits, so their spirits were high.
And basically his enemy pursued him and found him at this very field. So long story short, because the governmental troops were really well rested and the Highlanders had been marching all night and they didn't even get a chance to sleep, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. But Bonnie Prince Charlie didn't care. He hadn't lost a single battle yet in this entire campaign. So he decided to fight anyway. Now, to be fair, a lot of people think that the reason that Bonnie Prince Charlie lost this battle because they were outgunned and that the Highlanders only used swords. And that's not actually correct at all. They had cannons, they had artillery, they had mortars, all that sort of good stuff. So the Scottish Highlanders were famous for something that they called the Highland Charge, was basically where you just run at your enemy like a boss, firing muskets and pistols as you do, and then slashing people in half with your broadsword once you get to them. And as I said, Bonnie Prince Charlie had not lost a single battle this way. So why did it happen here? There's a couple easy reasons for that. We're standing in a moor, and as you can see behind me, that's what we call gorse bush, covered in these thick stickers, terrible to get through. This is the sort of terrain that they were dealing with. You can see this massive bog here. Then they had to run uphill. So when the Jacobites reached the front line of the governmental forces, they were slaughtered. It's estimated that over 700 Scottish warriors were killed in just under 2 to 3 minutes. And then it got even worse throughout the rest of the battle. It's estimated that there were almost 2,000 Jacobites killed during the battle itself, compared to 50 with the governmental forces. And worse than that, after the battle, they were given no quarter because they were thought to be treasoners, which meant anybody that was found wearing a tartan was simply killed. Which is why there's so many mass graves out here, like this one that simply says mixed clans. Bonnie Prince Charlie had support from a lot of the Scottish Highland clans, but some people were so massacred at the battle they had no idea which clan they actually belonged to. The Tartans were missing, they didn't have their weapons on them anymore because they'd already been looted, so they were just throwing his bodies into giant pits. However, some of the bodies were easily identified, so they luckily got marked graves, like this one here, which belongs to Clan Fraser. And the reason there's roses placed in front of it is because although Clan Fraser was originally based in Aberdeenshire, there was a very large regiment that was based out of Inverness as well, and we're going to be heading there next to see their mausoleum. We've arrived at the Wardlaw Mausoleum, which is home to most of the graves of the chieftains of Clan Fraser of Laftowin? Something like that. I don't know. You have to that's creepy. Frasers. This one's not too old. It's only been here since 1852. I mean, that's like yesterday. This is better. This guy died in 1565. Old graves. Unfortunately, it looks like the mausoleum's closed, but, it was still worth the trip anyway because it is just beautiful up here. I mean, it's astounding. The Scots know how to do graveyards right. Also, it's really weird, the grass is actually growing out of moss. It goes grass, moss, then dirt. Look at that. So it's kind of annoying that the mausoleum's closed because I was going to go in there and there's this tomb for this guy that had died at the Battle of Culloden, who was the chieftain at the time, and it was going to make sense and it was going to link, but it didn't work, so sorry. But it's a graveyard, so boom! Halloween connection. Alright, Amanda, we've reached our next destination, and as you can see from the graves behind me, there's a theme today. We're at the Boley Priory, which is now nothing but ruins, but it used to be an abbey for these Valaskalian? I don't know how to say stuff at all. Sorry about that. But they're monks. They're basically a Benedictine sort of monk, and this is the inside of the church. You can see they're doing repairs, which, I mean, it's a ruin. Why? That's weird. Also, we found the holy water basin. That water doesn't look too holy to me. All right, Boley's done us pretty well, but we're moving on to the next stop. Oh, and as we drive, we're gonna have to drive through a little town that's called Muir de Ord. It's interesting on the drive up here, like we kept passing through towns, and as we got further and further north, things stopped becoming like Stirling and Perth. And it's more like, you know, like Bronborn. All right, Amanda, we're running out of light, but we reached our last destination. This is the Fort Rose Cathedral in Fort Rose. Fancy that. And as you can see, this is a ruin as well. And the grounds all right here used to actually house the main cathedral. That thing is just a side church. And it's really cool. You're actually allowed to go inside, you know, if you're here during business hours. And all you have to do is just go into the church next door and ask for the keys. And they just let you wander around. The cathedral was built in the 1200s, but there was a church on the site going all the way back to the 7th century. And the reason the main cathedral, the part we're actually standing in here, is no longer standing is because this was a newer addition to the side of this that began in the 1500s. It's really cool. I wish we could have gone inside. Apparently there's a memorial to the last Mackenzie, like as in the last chieftain of the clan Mackenzie. Anyway, we're getting tired. We're hungry. So we're going to go find something to eat. Yes. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Good morning, Amanda. So before Lex and I said goodbye to Inverness this morning, we breakfasted at our bed and breakfast. And we discovered that a continental breakfast is nothing more than carbs and sugar with some fruit on the side, which are also carbs and sugar. And sugar is just another type of carb. So then we're carb loaded.
And caffeine loaded.
Which is good because we got a lot of crap to do today. Our first stop is going to be Loch Ness, which luckily for you, we've already arrived at. And you can also see that there's some ruins back there that we're planning on going to. But unfortunately, it's going to cost us roughly $36 trillion to attend that tiny little castle because this is Inverness and everything costs an arm and a leg. I mean, seriously. This place is a bit of a tourist trap. It's gorgeous and all, but it costs a lot of money, and so, you know, this is the view you get! Yay! So, Amanda, the interesting thing about Loch Ness is that it's friggin' huge! There's more fresh water in Loch Ness than the rest of Great Britain, or something. I could be wrong. I think that's right, though. And it's at least 230 meters deep, which I'm not good with the metric system, but is like 6 miles? 72 miles? Something like that. I think that's where it is. Or maybe about an eighth of a mile. You know, that's probably more correct. Alright, Amanda, so Scotland has something really cool. It's called right to roam, which means there's no trespassing laws. So as we're walking through this gate that's probably entering onto someone's private land, it's legal! The only thing they have as far as a law goes is called the footprint law, which means you're not supposed to be within a footprint of someone's window. That being the case, we've decided to go to the shores of Loch Ness.
Ah, yay, we've arrived! I'm going to touch Loch Ness!
And here's just a quick little view of Loch Ness. You can see the mist there. Oh, is it so cool! It's a little difficult to see, Amanda, but there's a peak right over there. It's Ben Nevis. It's the highest peak in Scotland, and it's at 4,400 feet. Hopefully we'll be able to get a better view of it once we move back around and we get to Glencoe, but I just wanted to give you a view of the valley here. It looks like the valley they were trying to find in the land before time. And if there were dinosaurs here, that'd be scary. Scary! Boom! Halloween connection. The next little stop that we made is at Inverloch Castle. It's a castle that was owned by the Common Clan. The Common Clan actually owned the Urquhart Castle that we saw way up there, or however the hell you pronounce it. Like I said, I'm bad at Scottish stuff. This place, which is now in ruins, as you can see, was originally built in 1280. And Robert the Bruce, as you'll remember, is kind of a dick. He's the one that turned in Mel Gibson and Braveheart, you know? Came and sacked the castle about 30 years later and never used it again, which left it in this state. And that tower there, which would have been much larger, was the personal apartment of the Lord of the Commons. Item at the very next stop is Glencoe. A glen's basically a valley with really steep sides. It tends to be rocky on each side. That's then named after the river that runs through it. So this is where the Coe River runs. And we just really wanted to show you the view, which as you can see is astounding. We have no idea what this is called, but it's here and it's cool. Part of what makes this country so amazing is like, this is just the shit you see on the side of the road. We were just driving along. There it is. Alright, Amanda, I know I promised I was going to take you to a Samhain festival. Unfortunately, I'm going to break that promise. I know I also promised that this was going to be a short video, and even though I haven't edited this yet, I know it's not going to be. We literally drove well over half of a country today. In fact, here's a list of all the crap that we saw in the past couple days. And as you can see, it's really long. Most of the stuff that we saw on this trip, you had to be there. It couldn't be captured by film, and it's really upsetting because I wanted to show you all this stuff, but there's a simple answer for that. Just get your butt on a plane and get out here. I mean, you've got a British husband, for God's sake. He can get you up here pretty easy. Make it happen. And I'm kind of disappointed about not being able to go see Samhain, but at the end of the day, it's not going to start until like 9 p.m. and I don't want to be driving on a bunch of one-lane highways in the rain trying to die.
And I don't want to ride alongside of it.
But we'll find another Celtic festival coming up soon and we'll take you there. I promise you that, and I'll probably break that promise too, but whatever. Anyway, Amanda, I love you.
And I love you too. Mwah!
We hope you enjoyed your video. And if you really did like this video, then do me a favor and click like. It's right there. And then click share and send it to all your friends. Do it. Do it. Please. Please do it. Bye.
Toodles.
Oh, fuck it. We'll do it live.
Okay.